everybody, welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to be talking about cultural appropriation.
But before we get started, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe if you like what you are seeing today.
All right. So Kara had an interesting, you saw a video, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, do you know what the video is? Do you remember it?
No, because the girl's a YouTuber and she's not
like a big YouTuber.
She's like a gossipy type YouTuber, but I've never seen her before. I just happened to see it, but I've actually seen the subject going around. The subject was pertaining African people reacting to Beyonce's "Black is King." I guess album.
I guess she has an album. We don't.
Anyway, she did a 2-minute debut thing that she let go about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And it didn't get really good reviews with African people because she used a lot of African things, symbolisms with the markings on the face and very, Wakanda sort of thing. And so African people somehow got upset with her, mostly because they felt like actually a lot of them went viral, but a lot of them started talking about, but one girl went viral, but that happened to be viral. That happened to be in Africa. And she went on a tirade and I don't even know her name. The girl was reading off it was long.
If I can find it, I will link it below. If I can't, sorry guys.
But what she said in a nutshell is that she is tired. She's tired of black celebrities in America, making it look like Africa is Wakanda or like jungle people. And she said, I don't understand why most black celebrities who have been to Africa can only come out of Africa with safari mentality.
It's such a valid,
you know what I mean? She said, I'm tired of it. And so it looked to me like the way that the, what is it? Not Twitter, but Twitter. Mm-hmm. Twitter was going. There's a lot of African people on Twitter who felt that same sentiment.
Oh, they kind of
and they were like, I'm so tired of that. Why do black people in America think that we all live in the jungle? Right. We don't. We have malls. Right. We wear regular clothes. Yeah. We wear high heels and shoes. She's like, we have
doctors and lawyers.
Yeah, she said we have iPhones and Wi-Fi. We look at social media in our spare time. Mm-hmm. And she's like, and it just seems to me that when celebrities that are black talk about the continent, anyway, she said, and it's not a country, it's a continent. We have 54 countries within the continent. And she was going on about how she's like, we have Wi-Fi. In our spare time, we look at social media just like everybody else in every other country. She was just like, we have malls, we drive cars, we don't drive zebras to work. Right. And she's going on. And so I think it is interesting. I have seen this before, and I've never been to Africa, but they say many African Americans haven't been to Africa because they always go to the Caribbean, right? But they will never come to Africa. But I know that Akon actually years ago it was in a public a forum, a town hall with African it looks like elites or their government people, and he talked about the fact that black people in America look at us here as jungle type people. You ask an African about, you ask an African American about Africa, and they'll talk about Shaka Zulu, as though we never evolved from that. Yeah, you know what I mean. He was just like, we have malls, but they don't think that. They only think lions and zebras and impoverished kids.
But he's saying that they also. And
he was saying, why would anybody want to come here if they thought?
Well, he's also saying that Africa has to market the way we're looking to other countries is like Kara was saying, they're in the jungle somewhere, like that. And I feel like that to me, when Kara was telling me about this, the first thought that came to my mind was it's kind of like cultural appropriation. It's black people, non-African black people are cultural appropriating African culture. And really using it for commercial stuff, basically, and we always get on, here's the funny part is that we always get on white people, Marc Jacobs did his whole, remember that whole debacle with Marc Jacobs doing his fashion show where all of the runway models came down. He was trying to pay homage, I guess, to, everybody had dreadlocks. I think he was trying to, get that, so, but all the models were white. with these faux dreads in their head, right? And so he got called out for cultural appropriation, right, for doing that. And I feel like if we're going to call out white people when they take our culture, stuff that we like doing, you know what I mean, and then appropriate it for themselves and then use that, but not be there for like the big stuff that we need to get stuff done. It's like that's kind of what that means. So I would say that this African people have a legit complaint here.
Yeah.
I feel like they have a legit complaint because
she was saying, the girl was saying, it's just like you guys don't think we're civilized.
Yeah.
Like we don't have, we're just like Aborigine type.
Well, think about it though. You know, when I in school and stuff, like I would say, like even in school, like growing up, that is the image. That's how it's marketed to everybody. That's how we're taught, you know, to think that Africans are that way. And they don't have any, like not civilized people. They're not like doctors and lawyers and accountants and mall workers. And they have, you know, they have all of that stuff. But it seems like we do have this thing where we think that they're just walking around with lions and stuff. And it's disrespectful because although we know that there's tribes there, we understand that there are African tribal people.
They have culture because, like every culture, like I mean, you know what I mean. Like they have like Jewish people have ceremonies. You know what I mean. If you are, you know, if you're from Ireland, there's ceremonies there. If you're from, you know, if you like to live, you're Aborigine and you live in Australia. Yeah, you have ceremonies there. But mostly, though, even those people all have regular. Up to date. They're up to date. They drive in cars. Yeah. They don't always wear war paint on their face. You know what I mean? They do have things like that. But she's like, but that is a smaller part of our country. Right. Most of our country. She's a her specific country. Yeah. But she's modernized. But she said even in the whole continent of Africa, we are some sort of weirdos. That's how she was trying to make it sound. You guys make it seem like we're some strange. Yeah, you know, some strange people that do these things that you know we've been doing since the beginning of time. Yeah, and the truth is like on some level, yes, but it never ever comes out. You never see us. You never see our country. Yeah, all you ever see is our like jungles.
Nefertiti. Yeah, it's like we're only talking about that part of it. I think that Black Americans like to put like the markings on there, and I guess she did that in the video. She did like the white Beyonce lines. Did that. She did all that. You know what I mean? And Beyonce based her whole that Coachella the beginning of that she was kind of Nefertiti. I think in the beginning. Yeah, I'm trying to find a picture, but she was walking like down the. I didn't watch all of that because I can't, but. I did see the beginning where she was doing that, and then she went right into the Black college stuff. Yeah. Right. But she was like, it's like what we think African people are these, you know, I don't know, war paint wearing, you know what I mean? Like that kind of, we think that dancing in the dust.
You know, stretch.
And all that.
And that is there. It's not there. And that's something celebrated, you know, for our people, period.
But sometimes we think that that's all it is.
She just like, but she's like, I actually think Bob Marley's son lives there. Yeah. He lives there. He's like, I believe so. He lives there and he was trying to get Black people to move back. To Africa, but trying to show you that as Black people we could prosper quicker than we could in America,
which is probably
because it's Africa. You know what I mean? And he was just saying that, but I think that Black people in America have a different perception, you know, of what Africa is, and I think Akon was kind of saying that was his point. Now this woman is saying that. Yeah, she was just like, is that we have that African Americans think that we're like jungle people, or if not, then it's the starving children. And the ghettos. True. So Oprah showed the ghettos and the, you know, with the whole Christmas kindness. So she's like, it's like we either see us looking impoverished or you see us in the jungle, but you never see us like going to the mall and going to grocery stores and buying food and buying appliances and cars and driving around in regular cars and wearing clothes that are jeans and stuff. She was just like, and that is also there. She was like, that's more there. We have a thing where we think that they're just there. And there is something like I was saying. It looks like they're getting tired of it.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
But, you know, I will say this, though, because sometimes you have to just admit ignorance sometimes, you know. And I would say that before I moved to New York, my perception of African people, because it's a low, at that time, there was low percentage of African people here in Indiana. I really because I wasn't brought up knowing that their culture was any different than what I saw on TV or what they give you in the books, you know what I mean? Which is what we're talking about, you know, the tribal stuff, right? So, and I always thought that was a really beautiful thing, but I did think, like, you know, but what happened is that when we moved to New York, my whole mentality kind of changed. That my whole perception changed, because in New York, African people, they're what this lady's talking about. What she's trying to say is that we all kind of are just normal people, and not that I didn't think they were normal people. I just thought they were just rich in culture and rich in tribal culture. So I wasn't understanding, you know. But when I went to New York, was many, many years ago, it did make me look at African, really all people, but African people kind of in a different light in general. So they do, I think, have a legitimate complaint with that, because it is kind of like, okay, Beyonce, and then you say that she doesn't even perform there.
The other complaint the girl had was she said, I'm so tired of Beyonce trying to use our culture as a way to boost her career. Yeah, she's like, when she doesn't even come to tour, when she does tours, she doesn't even come to Africa.
Which I didn't even know that.
I didn't even know that either.
I didn't know that she did.
She never.
Is that true? Is that fact?
That's what she said. She lives in Africa. She's like, she never comes here. She said, besides things like I think she did a performance for Nelson Mandela. She went there.
But you mean like,
but she's saying like when she does tours that she somehow goes past the whole continent of Africa.
What are you talking about?
And then she goes straight to Europe and Asia and all that. And
she went to Dubai. Beyonce did a private performance for I think a Saudi, it's a daughter of a prince, and she did a private she did her entire concert for this woman.
I mean, the only thing I can say about Beyonce is I don't listen to her music. I'm not a big Beyonce fan, but what I will say is, at least, I mean, to say black is king, that is something positive to say to black people.
It is.
You know what I mean? So I can understand that. On the other hand, I can understand Africans too. Yeah. Because what they're saying is you take from our culture and make it look like you're close to your roots in that way, but you don't even really show up here. Yeah. And you're taking it to sell records and to sell albums. Yeah. And sell albums and to boost your black ego, to make yourself look so much more authentic to what's happening. Because if this had not been a Black Lives Matter moment, would you even be gutsy enough? And see, that's another part of it, is that it seems like it's a
short-lived what's the word? Like tributes. You know what I mean? Like, this is like these little small tributes that a lot of people do during some hostile race-related things going on in the country. So now we're in this race-related. Now it's cool to be black. So now now everybody's gonna start putting out the queen and the king and all that. And again, I actually like that stuff, because I'm like, okay, well, yeah, we need to look at ourselves as royalty in that way, but the way that we do it sometimes, like even when I was watching the Black Panther, like we talked about this before in one of our videos a long time ago, is that we weren't big fans of the Black Panther movie. No. You know, because I mean, like, I'm not into Marvel things anyways, but because it was what it was and the blow up, I was like, okay, let me see what this is about, right? And I just, again, it was like a group of the white people, right? But there was a guy who saved the day, kind of, and he was kind of like the reason why. Fighting. Yeah, it's like he was kind of the white guy at the end was kind of the reason why it kind of got saved. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
well, because he had the pilot thing. You know what I mean? It's like so you know that like white people wrote this because they had him, because they made the only white person that's the hero, and that made me mad. Because that made me annoyed. Not mad, like more of just annoyed. Because it's just like, if you're going to tell me right now this man's about to do this shooting thing and then he saves the whole situation, then you just now know these were writers that were white and they want to see themselves win.
No, while we know this is just a movie and it's whatever, it's not about that. It's about the...
Why couldn't it have been one of those Africans? Yes. Right. Why couldn't all those intelligent black Africans that were in that movie?
The girl, the sister, she's like driving.
All these intelligent people who had, you know, it was just like, you know, this is what happens. You know what I mean? They make this person the winner. You know what I mean? So I think in any case, it was great to see a lot of black people on camera. I can always see underlining. Yeah. I can always see the underlying, you know.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that I don't say support, but I'm like not say too fond of. I'm not a fan
of Beyonce, but I respect that she's famous and that she's done so much with her life.
Right. No,
I can respect that. Why can I not? I mean, of course I can. This woman has done much more than That's not small potatoes.
But I feel like we do have a problem. Like I don't know what it is. I think, why do you think though? Is that why we're like, why don't we go to Africa? Like, why is it that black people don't like to travel? Whenever there is like when people talk about their vacations, like just think about, and some people I know personally go on elaborate vacations. And I know it costs a lot of money to go to Africa. It's expensive and all that. I understand that. But some of the vacations I see people go on, and these are people who go on vacations all of the time. Like, this is a thing they do with their families all of the time. And the one place, black people, the one place they don't go, and one place I always want to go is Africa. When I give money like that, that's one place I will always like to go. But I know people who have money, and I'm like, why are you not going to Africa? Why do you think?
So there is a reason why are we not going? So in America, we when you look at all the vacation spots that are advertised as far as the Caribbean cruises and things like that, in America we only advertise Jamaica, the Caribbean, Dominican Republic now. Dominican Republic really wasn't Cuba, before, but now it's Cuba. Now it's Cuba. Like we're doing things, but they don't. Africa has resorts. Yeah. But I think even Akon said in his town hall thing in Africa, he was saying that we have lots of, as you all know, we have resorts here. So people always say to me, you guys say to me, why isn't that black Americans spend so much money in the Caribbean, but they never come to Africa when we have so much, the whole continent? You know what I mean? And he's like, it's because America is the master brander. Yeah, and what they do is he said what they do better than anybody. They don't have the smartest people. We don't have we really don't even have, they say, the most talented people. What we have is a branding, marketing system in America that makes us better than any other country. Yeah. And every country wants to be like our country.
That's why they always want to cross over.
That's why they always want to cross over, because we've done a very good job of that. And he was just like, and so what it is about Africa is that they don't brand Africa they don't brand it as a vacation spot. He said anytime you hear about Africa, it's about starving children, ghettos, and jungles. So it's not something people really want to come out and see. Yeah. As far as taking time off work, and then going to see some depressing homeless people. Right. And they always get stuck. You know what I mean? And they always get stuck with the what's it called? Like the stigma of disease. And like, Ebola, it's not, guys, it's like, these are, what do you mean? It's people who have, America has disease too. It's a continent. It's a big continent, but in our country, we don't talk about it that way. We talk about it as a place that needs help. Yes, we do. We need help. And so if you're it's like, you're right. It's like we do talk about them like it's like they're weak. But it's not. Most of the natural resources come from Africa. They do. And there are a lot of Nigerians are probably, I think, the most successful Africans in Africa. I know a lot of Nigerians. And I think a lot of them, he even went to say that most of their celebrities in Africa are unlike our celebrities who are leasing everything and just to show us wealth. He's like, they actually own everything that they have, even their companies and production companies and stuff like that. They do it more there. He's just like, but it shows brand. Right. He says, so if people are working 40 hours a week and working as long as they want to, then they get their vacation time. They don't want to spend it looking at impoverished kids, and that's what they think. But that's what in the back of our head, that's what we're thinking. Like, he's just like, the only people that seem to show up here are white people. But he's trying to say that it is a beautiful continent. They're smart. They're smart with money. African people are very smart with money. They're because I know a lot of African people. Just being in New York, like I know a lot of. Living in New York, Africans from all parts of Africa. You know what I mean? All parts of Africa, and the way that they move their money, is like some of the smartest way. They're just business smart. Yeah. Africans are very business smart, but I think they don't get that label. I want them to get that label because they are. Like, but most people who come to our country are, because they come here because America is the land of opportunity. Right. So anybody who comes to here, I don't care if you're from India or you're from Africa or you're from if you're Chinese, you come here to make money. Yeah. Because that's what we're about. We're a melting pot of businesses and things like that. And so there's always been this weird thing about African people and African Americans. Like, we don't like each other. Yeah, that's that whole thing like that. Is that true? Well, I mean, they say that. A lot of Africans. But do you get treated weird by Africans? Like, have you ever no, most Africans really like me. Oh, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. I never got that. But I have had conversations with Africans, and they're saying that it's really weird. They think that because they're not from here, they come here for college and they come here for business. Yeah, right. That's it. You know what I mean? They just know that that's what they come for, college business. But they say that they don't like they get mad at us because they think that because we're born here, we should be really successful, and we don't take advantage of our opportunities because we've been here and we take it for granted.
I've actually had this conversation with an African person before.
At first, I kind of got mad at that comment because they don't understand the racism.
Well, the thing is, and I agree with you because I worked with an African person when I was in New York, and we had this conversation. He said that exact thing, and I said, well, the history of America, the slavery history of America, kind of ruined some things mentally for us. Yeah. You know what I mean? And while we are doing better, right, there is still this feeling within African Americans, or I call myself black, that we feel oppressed. And so we don't have that same go-getter, not everybody, but the majority of black people, especially in America, don't have that same go-getter. I'm going to go do this and get this money and stack it here and there. We weren't brought up with that type of mentality, whereas Africans are brought up to achieve. Right. You know what I mean? From their elders. Like they're just doing something that's tradition for them, right? So their tradition keeps going and going and going. They make money. They do well. So it's like you said, specifically Nigerians. They do really well, and then African or black people. I was telling this guy this. He said, "So you think that?" He asked me. He said, "So you think that it's all the majority was like with the slavery thing?" He said, "Because you have an interesting point there that the oppression, we didn't get that there in that way because." It's is a much different thing there. I've never been there. Well, first of all, he's saying there's a bunch of it's different thing.
First of all, like because I was telling my friend from New York that's he's not African, he's not Nigerian though. He's from Ghana.
Oh, Ghana. Okay.
But he was saying that why is it that you don't take? Because he comes here and then he goes home. You know what I mean? But he said why is it that black people in America aren't as successful as white people? Like why is that not? You guys don't even have to take a plane. You're here. You're here in the area where he's like most people I know, like all my friends that are like from India or from any part of Asia. They're all like owning. And he said, but it's interesting that the people who've been here the longest, the people who are descendants from slavery, that are here, are not taking advantage of their of what the slaves had to put up with.
I agree. Yeah.
And I agree with that. You know what I mean? I said, I agree with that. I said, but there is a psychology that goes along with keeping people mentally oppressed. You don't have to be in prison to be in jail.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I say that it's happened to me many a times, not thinking I can do it.
Yeah. Oh, no.
And I'm sitting right here in this country as you, right? And he was like, really? I was like, right. I said, see, you're lucky in a lot of ways. And he was like, why? I said, because you come from the motherland. It says, but so what that means is that you come from history that is cultural history. Like your family, your mother, your brother, everybody's from the same culture, and it's been put down for many, many, many years. So you have a father that's in your home. There are a lot of black people in America don't know their father. I'm one of them.
Oh, yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And he was like, right. And he was like, that's a problem, and we don't do that. You know what I mean? He's like, right.
They take care of
but not only that, you have the richness of your culture that pushes you forward to make your family feel proud.
It's original.
Right. Yeah. And there's a lot of things in America that keeps us from feeling proud sometimes.
They're thinking more of, because they're from the motherland, right? So although black people, and I do agree that to some extent that we are in many ways sometimes do cultural appropriate with them, right? I think we do that, but I think that's almost like, to me, it's nothing to be like angry about. I think that there should be a balance here. I feel like a lot of it's just paying homage to probably what we're something we've never had, right? And so the fact that we are black, and then most of us are linked to Africa, we're all linked to Africa, that they're just trying to feel that. If they can't be there, they're trying to feel that. So whenever they're doing things that appears to be, it doesn't even appear to be, honestly. A lot of it is just using their culture. But some of it is just using their culture, but in a good way to make yourself feel like you're part of something, right? Because in America, black people are
we're basically we're considered mutts. Yeah. Because most of us, no matter how dark we are, have white. Matter. Because of slavery, we have white in our blood. Yeah. Me and Danielle have a white grandmother, and my mother's biracial, and so my father was black.
Right.
But we have a closer connection to white because my grandmother was white. But the thing is that most black people in America have Caucasian in their blood. And so I do think that Danielle's right. I do think that there is a part of us that wants to feel that tribal feeling because we still feel it. It's just that, and I think we use it for strength.
Yeah.
So when you look on YouTube and you see a lot of Black people trying to, really get in contact with, when you start looking, people used to walk around the African, remember back in the 90s with the African,
the
right, with the Public Enemy sort of thing. It's our way of trying to remember the people who were brought over here, and that's what we come from strength.
Because you can't run away from who you are, even if you are trying to run away from who you are. If there's something there's a reason why it's built in us to gravitate to their culture, because there's something within us that feels connected, and it's quite bizarre because our ancestors were ripped away and stripped of everything and language, religion, all of it stripped away, to come to a place foreign and have a new language with American names and slave masters' last names, and
that's what I was telling my friend though. It's like you still have an African name. Yeah, you understand? Like your whole first and last name is long. I can't even pronounce it all the time, and they shorten it because they know we can't.
But it's something about that.
I said you have to understand. There's like a certain pride you have that we wish we try to hold on to with culture. You know what I mean? And sometimes we fall through when we live in the hood and we do things like twerking all day, and that has nothing to do with you'll hear Black people all day say, well, they twerk, they do all kinds of dances in Africa, but they're not doing it for the way we're doing it. We're not doing it in a club. You know what I mean? Clearly. But I'm just saying that there are, I think, and it could be even Beyonce, because she's from America, so she's used to civilized things. But the one thing we don't have here is that. And so she went there, and that's what she gravitated to, and she put it in her art. So you know what I mean? And so I can respect that. You know what I mean? That's what it is. But I can see what she's saying. I can see on both ends what you're saying. But I will say that in America, I think when we think about Africa, we think about the history part of Africa, the part where it's where it is ceremonial.
I think we want a little bit of it, but I do think we need to take some of their advice, and if you want, you need to go there, and at least visit and give some money to.
It is expensive though. It is Africa's far away. You know what I mean? So that could be the reason why it's more marketable for the Caribbean, because Caribbean is not that far away. You know what I mean? But you're right, Danielle. There are a lot. I have a lot of Black friends that have money.
I have
rich friends. They can afford to take a trip to Africa. You know what I mean? And I would love to go to Africa. I really would. And especially now knowing that it's not just that, and there's other things to do there. You know what I mean? I would definitely want to go. But I do think that
there's no shame in not understanding, not knowing that, right. I mean, for many, many years, I've obviously known that there's civilized people. They don't walk around with giraffes and and they're long. That's not everything's coming to America. Okay, and everything's Wakanda.
They didn't like see, the thing is that African people didn't like the Black Panther movie like we did. We thought it was just like we got people today still walking around. You know what I mean? And African people are just like, we're not Wakanda. You know what I mean? They don't like that we did that. You know what I mean?
They could have used a real country on it, by the way.
They could have. You know what I mean? She's like, we're not Wakanda. We don't like it. There is a talk show on YouTube that's done by Nigerians, and I subscribe to it, and then they have like an American Black girl in there one day, and I was interested in that because she's a good friend of theirs.
You're womanly good below.
I'd have to find it, but I watched it for a long time, and one day they had a girl there who's kind of like she's from the Midwest, but then she moved to like New York and LA, so she saw more diversity when you go to those states.
That's what happens when you
go to those states. When you're in the Midwest, it's different than it is when you go to the East Coast or the West Coast. And so she said she's listened to these three Nigerians sort of down Black people in America, and they really were. They're really snooty. They were really looking down at us. You know what I mean? And she was just like, why would we want to? They were calling us ghetto, and so she said, what really hurts is that we're all the same color.
We're all the same color.
And she's like, and even in America, when we hurt each other, we still do it when we're not in the same country. And she was right. This was the Black girl, the American girl. And then she said, you guys are so lucky. You guys don't even realize like what we've had to go through in this country.
It's a lot.
Because our family members were stolen and brought here. And you guys are so lucky to have your names. You're lucky to have your culture, and you're lucky to have it. So when you come to our country, you're intact. You know who you are. And so now you can get that out of the way. So now you can deal with white America because you know who you are. You have a solid foundation because you come from the country that we all wish we could know.
Their cultures and the things that they find fascinating and amazing. Like, Brooke, I know we have to go, but like whenever I talk to an African woman or man, doesn't matter, when they see that I have a gap, we have gaps.
Yeah.
You guys know we have gaps in our
both
front
our parents do.
Yeah, so we have gaps, and whenever an African sees our gaps, they're just like, I'm like, why do you all get like that when you see a gap? They're like, because in our country, in our culture, gaps are looked at as prosperity. It's looked at as good luck,
and we will be.
Prosperous,
wealthy.
But they always that happens every time when people see our gaps. Every time an African sees that, they always say, like, that's like a sign that they tell us what that means. And I'm like, see, this is what I'm saying. You're so lucky because I didn't, because a lot of times in America, people get their gaps closed. You know what I mean? Because it's looked at as bad teeth and bad, like that. But it's really just to them like, no, it's a beauty to us.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? See, that's the kind of thing we're talking about, though, is that they have something that we are linked to, and we're just trying to either pay homage to it, or we are actually just wanting to be a part of it. And if we can't get there yet, to even visit, then at least we can shout them out.
Yeah, even like I said, even my friend, one of my friends in New York, when I said it to him, I said, "You are so lucky to know who you are, know where you come from, and be able to
link that back."
Because in America, like what's his name, the guy who does the Black history, he has to go through a lot because of slaves not being documented, and things like that. But in Africa, so you have a straight descent because you have birth certificates and papers.
We were property here.
Africa, we were considered animals here.
Yeah, we were.
And so when I kind of said that to him, he kind of felt more proud of his own.
Yeah, he should.
He said, "Well, I guess I see your point." Like I was like, "You don't understand? People think that because you're in a free country, you're free." Freedom starts here. I mean, Bob Marley said it many times, or said it in the song, Redemption song, where, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. And a lot of people are mentally enslaved. And even me, myself, I've had to break myself free.
Me too.
Many times. You know what I mean?
Recently.
You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of times, just because we're here doesn't mean that we're not controlled.
Right. We're
controlled by the media. We're controlled by having this be at the standard of white people. Yeah. Not only just physically, but with the economy. You know what I mean? We are just now, I think, to a point where we could start Black Wall Street again, and it would be successful because Black people are now seeing themselves. Yeah. I was gonna say this George Floyd thing he didn't die in vain. Yeah. I think it's important for us as Black people, whether you're in Africa, whether you're in Jamaica, and believe it or not, we have Black people in Ireland, Black people in Mexico, we have Black people everywhere, that we all see ourselves as one. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know what you think about this. Give us a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to help us grow. We would love that. And share this. And also do not forget to hit the bell so you can get the notifications of our next videos. And speaking of that, you can watch a couple of videos over here. We will put them here.
We're always looking for topics, so make sure that you inbox us, or you can email us any kind of topics you just want us to talk about. We get a lot of those. Right. So, but we do like that because then it helps us to engage with you, because we like talking to you all on a back and forth in the comment section. So
yeah, it's fun. All right. Thank you guys. We will see you later on this week. All right. Bye guys.